Hey, everybody. So we're waiting for Donald Trump, and we're actually in the middle of an extremely powerful summer thunderstorm here in Boston. So it's completely conceivable. It's entirely possible that I will lose power and or internet at any moment. So just putting that out there up front, it is very, very powerful what's going on right now. Fox News' stream is like blacked out. They don't even have, I mean, it's just really weird what's going on. The White House does say that the news conference is starting, live stream starting soon, as you can see there. So a lot going on, very, very much going on, and a few different things that I want to discuss with you today. I do have one super chat question, which is if Democrats win back the Senate, should they nuke the filibuster? Is it worth it? I've leaned towards no, and I have some clips about that you can check out. But my inkling, my preference has been for not nuking the filibuster. That it is certainly a double-edged sword, which may, it's sort of like packing the Supreme Court, which also may well backfire. So I have a few different things to play for you today. First, just to kind of get us oriented, we again are looking at it's not even, it's not even 5 p.m. We're already at 53,000 new cases today and 888 deaths. Florida hitting another single day death record. And it's looking like we could be, 60, 70, 80,000 cases per day very, very soon. So that's going on, and it's very ugly, and it's not looking good. There's a completely whacked out video of Donald Trump bragging about his cognitive test to this doctor on Fox News. And of course, Trump forgets the name of the test when he's bragging about his memory. Let's just listen to a little bit of it. Oh, is the thunder actually coming through? That's interesting if it is. Yeah. The thunder is very, very loud here. And wow, I don't know that that's ever, somebody heard it. Somebody didn't. People are lying. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, you tricked me. Okay, let's listen to some of this.
So the last time I was at the hospital, probably a year ago, a little less than a year ago, I asked the doctor, I said, is there some kind of a cognitive test that I could take?
Now, he said that was less than a year ago.
Because I've been hearing about it, because I want to shut these people up. They're fake news. They make up stories. I mean, like, I'll do an interview with you. I didn't say you can't ask me about this. I say, ask me anything. I did one with Chris Wallace. He was nice enough to say, he said, I just want to tell the audience there was no question that's off bounds. Okay, and he's a tough cookie. And it was a good interview. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And it was good. But I didn't say you can only...
Truck's backing up as usual around the interview.
Ask this. You can only... We have to be sharp. If you're in the office of the presidency, we have to be sharp. So they were saying all these different things. It was going all over. Whichever stuck. None of it stuck, fortunately. But one of the reasons it didn't is that I took a test. I said to the doctor, it was Dr. Ronnie Jackson.
Now, this is very weird because Trump said this happened less than a year ago. Ronnie Jackson's been gone since April of 2018. Okay. So Trump supposedly took the Montreal Cognitive Assessment in January 2018, and within a few months, Ronnie Jackson was gone. Trump says this all happened during the last year. It's weird because Ronnie Jackson's been gone. So something's not right.
And I said, is there some kind of a test, an acuity test? And he said there actually is, and he named it, whatever it might be.
Right. Trump doesn't remember what it's called. Okay.
And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy.
Now, remember, it's actually like 12 questions, but okay.
The last questions are much more difficult, like a memory question. It's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV.
So what's funny about that is the question, the words are supposed to be unrelated. And so Trump is grouping words. So it's funny that he says this is like a really tough question. I mean, this is all crazy, okay? I don't even know that I need to explain it.
So they say, could you repeat that?
And I go, yeah.
So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Wow.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
They give you a lolly if you get it in order.
They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy question. In other words, they ask it to you, they give you 5 names and you have to repeat them, and that's okay. If you repeat them out of order, it's okay, but you know, it's not as good. But then when you go back about 20, 25 minutes later and they say, go back to that question, they don't tell you this.
Right. Okay. So then this continued, and Trump, as our friend Aaron Rupar says, portraying passing a cognitive test like he discovered the theory of relativity. Take a listen.
No, if you take this test, we may have to reveal it. I said, it's all right. I mean, is it tough? Tell me about it. I'd never heard of it. And I got a perfect mark. And the doctors were, they said very few people can do that. Very few people get that. You understand? It's not that easy.
No, it's tough.
There were other questions tougher than what I just did.
Yeah, like counting backwards from 100 by subtracting 7. So then the doctor was interviewed today on Fox and Friends, and this is like the cherry on top. And the doctor says the interview proved that Trump was really sharp, that the interview was a sort of cognitive test. Can you imagine anything more stupid?
No, he discussed the issue of his own clarity of vision, and I did, in a sense, that interview was a cognitive test, Ainsley. I have to tell you, as you know, he is extremely sharp on every second, and he did a test on TV where he basically, you know, went through how great his memory is, and what he said was, all of the major leaders of the world, Ainsley, he talked about Putin, he talked about Chairman Xi, he said whatever you think of them, they're extremely sharp, and we need a leader that has that level of awareness and sharpness.
Dr.
And that
Siegel,
applies to the election.
real quick.
Yeah. So the interview, Trump's demeanor during the interview was proof that he's cognitively very, very sharp. We are in essentially the stupidest timeline that I can imagine. If anybody, by the way, knows of a live stream right now that is live in the room, because this is the White House feed. They go live at the very last second. And then this is the Fox News feed, and it's blacked out or grayed out. So, The Hill. Okay, let me look for that real quick. The Hill live. Let's see. All right, we may have to sit through just briefly an ad, but I think we can tolerate that together, as I like to say. And let's see. Oh, because I'm in Massachusetts, I'm being targeted by the Ed Markey campaign here. Let's see. Okay, and are we live in the room? We are live in the room. Very good. Okay, so this will be better. It'll give us more of a sense of what's going on. By the way, thank you to Richie Cabral. Richie Cabral has just signed up at joinpacman.com and is new member number 1 today. Okay, let's see what we have happening via Super Chat. I do want to say thank you to Oh, no, I already did that one. Notorious Joe says, hey, Dave, I tried to call in from Orlando, Florida yesterday. Absolute mess over here. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you taking calls anyway. Yeah, we've actually, so when I used to take calls for the broadcast show, we would get 60, 70, 80 people holding, and I can't possibly get to 60 calls. So we realized we should limit the number of slots for holding. So now we've limited it to 30. Once 30 people, since I only get to 8 to 10 calls, once we get to 30 lines occupied, it starts blocking people, and it is a little difficult to get through, but we do what we can, you know. Lou Sassel says, why does Brian Taylor Cohen get big names like Kamala Harris on his show while you settle for names like Jesse Lee Peterson? Well, I don't think Jesse Lee Peterson has ever been on my show. I did his show, and then I uploaded it to my channel, and it got over 1 million views, which is beautiful. But, you know, my audience doesn't even really like politician interviews. We have a relationship with Ro Khanna, so he's been on a couple of times, and but whenever we go through, see, here's the thing. It's a lot of trouble to get senators on because the staff needs to validate their own existence. So they put a lot of obstacles in and make the person seem so in demand. And, you know, by the time you get them on, you've invested hours in the logistics. And then like very few people actually are that interested in it. People seem to prefer just me chatting about what's going on. So, you know, it's a strategy. It's a strategy. Zachary Prakowski says Ronnie Jackson did rejoin the White House briefly in 2019. Okay, that's fair. I don't know whether he was actually the person that would have been testing Trump cognitively at that time, but that's a fair point if that's true. Zelda Freak says, is the Supreme Court vote for faithless electors to vote for their state's popular vote a preemptive step to block national popular vote efforts? Really a legal question, and I'm not the right person to answer that. Steve Leon says Trump gets the blame for federal COVID failures, but has nothing to do with vaccine procurement and logistics. Isn't that hypocrisy? You are better. No, it's actually not hypocrisy, Steve. I mean, listen, what does Trump have to do with states deciding to say everybody wear a mask or don't, states saying close or not, developing a testing program and distributing tests? Okay, Trump is obviously involved in that. What does Trump have to do with Oxford University developing a vaccine? These are two completely different things, and it is not a double standard or hypocrisy, whatever, or whatsoever, I would even say, either way. Thanks to Molly Mack for getting the YouTube sub. Alexander Brau says Trump chose the words to repeat and still struggled. How is that a sign of good cognition? Yeah, it's not. Obviously, it's not. Thanks to Dr. Corium for subscribing for the second month in a row on Twitch at twitch.tv/David Pakman. You can now see on my YouTube channel, my Twitch stream from 2 days ago, getting a chess lesson from Alexandra Botez, who is one of my coaches for the upcoming PogChamps 2 tournament in which I will be participating. Also, the King Cappy on Twitch with their subscription has just triggered a hype train. Yesterday, we reached a level of hype train we've never experienced before, which is 620% of level 5. Okay, now if that means nothing to you, congrats. You're not sucked into Twitch, and that you may be better off as a result. But we did reach a 620% level 5 hype train yesterday, which, can you guys hear that? I mean, these are some very, very loud, that's loud thunder at this point. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Name Withheld says, every time he ties his shoes, it's a cognitive test. He aces it bigly. Jack McCarty says, when passing a test for dementia is something you were touting as a success, we have really lowered the bar for president. Agreed. Very much agreed. Thanks to Wooga, who has gotten us to level 2 from the standpoint of hype. Waffles Giraffle says, did Trump get the test in advance or send someone else or maybe both? Mr. T, please repeat these 5 words: corruption, hooker, fraud, racism, baby. Yeah, those are certainly linked words for sure. Danny Thompson says, what if federal unemployment is slashed from $600 to $200 per week? Or if a second direct check is issued, but eligibility slashed from 40,000 to 75? I think you mean from 75 to 40. Wouldn't that be worse for Republicans in November than doing nothing at all, especially in the suburbs? You know, Danny, that's a complex question, and I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that a little bit. Graham Taylor has grabbed a YouTube sub. Fred Rogers has sent a very small cheer on Twitch. We are at level 2, but with 0%, which is sad. Carl says, yesterday, Jimmy Dore said Obama enabled Trump sending troops into cities by signing the indefinite detention bill in 2011. What's your take on that? Didn't see it. I don't see the obvious connection, but I'm glad to have my mind changed. Joseph Dinsies says, I'm working for the census and they made me sign an affidavit that said I could not protest, speak, or whistleblow against the government. Crazy. Is that even legal? I don't pretend to be a legal expert, but I don't know if that's even legal. Thanks to the Ripple for the Twitch sub, getting us to 30% on level 2 of our hype train. Breaker 19 says, you could argue Trump pushed for vaccine research funding that was in the bill, that which led to vaccine. Again, I just don't know how that is leading to Oxford University or Moderna, for example, getting a vaccine out. And I mean, listen, there's no doubt that the government has decided to pre-fund the production of doses before we know if the vaccine will work. Any sensible government would do that. And, you know, if what we're saying is Trump's doing a good job because he agreed to fund speculative production of vaccine doses, it's an extraordinarily low bar. It's almost like saying, if you can remember 5 words, you can be president, because multiple countries are doing that. Bill Gates 5 years ago said the trick here is you've got to fund production of doses before you know if it'll work. Like, if you want to say that that's something good that Trump did, okay, I can't imagine anybody who would not do that. Like, even Trump obviously is going to do that. Timmy Lunsford says, do you ever worry about your mental health spending so much time on Trump? Yeah, so I basically only spend 4 days a week talking about Trump. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm off politics. Sunday, late afternoon, I'll start prepping for the Monday show, but I do like a full 3-day break from Trump stuff. Steve Leon says vaccine procurement and logistics are the reason U.S. will have more supply than the rest of the world. Okay, so I just addressed that, Steve. Thank you. Bill Kittleman says, David, don't worry about Trump is going to kill his own base with this virus. I hate to say that. Okay. Thank you to Light Chaser and Salionet and Bring Da Booty, who have gotten us to level 3 of a hype train over on Twitch, which is very, very powerful. Again, yesterday we reached our record of 620% on level 5. 620 level 5 is the most we've ever done. Dalbert Leal says, hey, David, love the Dr. DiCarlo interview. How do you maintain sanity after thoroughly and logically explaining things to people to no avail? Again, I just, take 3 days fully off from politics every week. Tom Hardy has subscribed at the soy boy level. Donna Williams says, do you think Trump will be prosecuted for crimes after he's out of office? No, I believe that there will be actions against his business, probably for financial elements, financial misdeeds. But anybody waiting for Trump to be criminally charged, I don't think it's going to happen. Sean M. says, David, how does your day-to-day sense of style compare to your broadcasting wardrobe? Do you dress more formally when not performing? No, I don't. Brandon, it's basically the same thing. I have a bunch of different shades of gray t-shirts like this one, and then a bunch of button-down shirts, and those are the key wardrobe elements that I'm dealing with. Brandon Humble says, over or under 5 press briefings until Trump says something completely stupid and dangerous and has to re-cancel the press briefings. I'm going to take the over. I think it's going to be over. If you're just joining us, we are standing by for a Donald Trump coronavirus press briefing, urgently waiting. And of course, as you may know, let's just see, we were at 53,000, about 400 more cases have just been officially reported, 53,000 cases so far today, 894 deaths. Tragedy. This is the urgency right here, my friends. I do have, from the standpoint of memes, I do have a few memes. I haven't received that many lately. When I get them, I'll put them up on screen for you. Let me see if I can get a better angle on this one. Hold on. And then let's zoom a little. I got this one recently. I don't even know where this picture is from. After telling you about the 10-inch zucchini in his garden, he gives you this look. Yeah, that was not a euphemism yesterday. When I said I have multiple 10-inch zucchinis in my garden, it was perfectly accurate. And then a lot of them are very small. There's a couple micro zucchinis, micro zooks, which are still growing. And I look forward to showing those to you when they are ready for harvest. Here's another one. And I don't know where this came from. After he tells you he came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass and he's all out of gum, he gives you this look. I don't get it. I just don't get this one. And then lastly, ever look up in the night sky and think about the infinite number of galaxies, each containing thousands of stars, and each of those stars being suns for planets in their own solar systems? And maybe those planets contain intelligent life? Ever look at this incredible vastness and your place in it and think to yourself, what does any of this mean? Absolutely nothing. Everyone needs to get out and vote in November. Now, that's a message that I can get behind. I like that one. That's a very good one. And I think everybody should completely stand behind that. We are about 30% into a level 3 hype train, thanks to the Strawberry Rodeo jumping in, as well as JP DeBeast already exists. Oh, boy. Yeah, a lot going on there. Let's see other super chats. Wiguetric says, David, have you talked about moving the British Open to Turnberry? Love your show, man. Donating to the best cause. I haven't. I mean, it seems like it's more Trump corruption. I don't know what else to say about it. Matthew Towers has grabbed a YouTube subscription. D. Ken says, who are you voting for, Markey or Kennedy, and why? So I was asked about this yesterday. I'm leaning towards Markey, and I kind of went into detail. I also have a clip coming out about that tomorrow, so I won't go into like a crazy amount of detail about it right now. Matthias Germany says, Trump is always late from the standpoint of time. Yes, he is. Janelle says, have you ever had a natal chart reading? And if so, what are your sun and moon signs? No, I don't believe in that crap. I apologize. but I've never had a reading done, and I don't plan to. If anybody's offended by that, I apologize. The Blue Noble says, what I was saying yesterday was, would you like a dragon fruit cutting to add to your magnificent garden, preferably a purple-fleshed cultivar? Maybe, but I don't know if you can send that stuff to the mail, through the mail, and, I'm just not sure. I don't know anything about that. Waller is me says Trump's base has shown evidence that they will never leave him. That gives him latitude to start acting as if he is now, to possibly capture some undecided votes. Troubling. Oh, Legal Eagle has excellent video on legalities of Portland. I will check that out. And Breaker 19 says, did I watch AOC destroy Yoho on the floor? I watched about 5 minutes of it. I don't know how much longer it was, but yeah, it was wild. It was very, very wild. Let me say a few other thank yous. Alex Pike has just grabbed, what happened here? Alex Pike just grabbed a membership on my website and is new member number 2. I also want to say thanks to Alexin Angiano, who is new member number 3 on my website. Susan Owens is new member number 4. And I believe that's it. Let me very, very briefly mention this program is primarily funded by people who grab memberships on my website. Okay, that's joinpacman.com. We love Super Chat. We love Twitch Prime. We love Twitch Tier 1, Twitch Tier 2, Twitch Tier 3. We love all of that stuff. Membership on our website is really our primary funding source. And we had over 300 people who had to cancel memberships at the beginning of this month because of the virus. We know what's going on, unemployment, economic devastation, much of it optional, and that's sad. So if you're in a position where you can help us sort of dig out of that 300 member hole, and we've made about 180 or 190 progress on that, consider grabbing a membership at joinpacman.com. We do an extra show every single day for our viewers called the Bonus Show. On today's Bonus Show, I told the story from 2 years ago where my vegan producer, Pat Ford, ate a sour cream based sauce at a team dinner that we had. And he's denying that he did it. I believe that he did. Anyway, so we talked about that on the Bonus Show today and actual relevant news. Okay. So you can sign up at joinpacman.com. Coupon code 2020 now, as you can see, saves you 66%. But before you do that, there's another coupon code, an unpublished coupon code, July Surprise. Okay. All lowercase. None of those big letters that Trump uses randomly on tweets, all small letters, July Surprise, no space. It's an even bigger coupon code. And our goal is 25 website members. I very powerfully believe that we're going to do it. I really do. But the vegan drama on today's Bonus Show is not to be missed, quite frankly. And it is it's the stuff of legends. Jordan Haddock, Love Haddock, says the anti-government right is silent as Portland explodes. Yep, I've talked about that quite a bit. Green Party Trevor says opinions on Twitter cracking down on QAnon. I didn't know that they did. We're actually in the middle of maybe scheduling an interview about QAnon. And it's going to be very interesting if it indeed happens. So we're waiting on that. I see a few people saying the coupon code July Surprise isn't working. Okay, so there's the two elements that are important for the coupon code July Surprise. Number one, it's got to be all lowercase. And number two, it's one word, okay? People are signing up with it right now, so it's certainly working. Thomas Cornell just signed up and is new member number 5 with the coupon code. So it is working. It's working. Trust me, my friends, it is working very, very much. People asking, what's the plan for Twitch? No particular plan. I mean, we're close to 40,000 Twitch followers, which is great. And just continuing to stream. That's really the plan. Let's see here. Christian Gaffield says, tip for American Crew Fiber Hair Gel. You told me what you use and it's perfect. Okay, back to politics. No particular tips. Yeah, people wonder how is it that I'm able to keep my hair under control? And I mean, to call this under control is definitely open to interpretation. I use a product which does not sponsor the show. It's called American Crew Fiber. It's not the cheapest product. I think it's like, how much is it? It might be $12 for like a 2-ounce thing. But you basically what you want to do is, why are we talking about this, guys? Okay, we all know how to use hair gel. All right, let's not divert here. Eric Yup says, yo, Dave, not sure if you remember me, but I graduated with you at Northampton High. How fitting was it that you won the most political superlative? I did not. I did not actually win that. Eric Yup. I don't know if Yup is code for something. I remember Eric's, but I don't remember an Eric Yup, and I did not win most political. So that I don't know if this is a joke or what. Khaled Hawazli says, David, can you start covering more on medical research for diseases such as ALS? You covered the COVID vaccine research well, and I feel it would be beneficial to do the same for terminal illnesses. Okay, yeah, that's certainly something that I can look into. Anahi Diaz says, Generation Z here. Hello from CA. David, wish you were president instead of Donald. Well, I cannot be president of the United States because I was not born in the United States. Oh boy, my phone is blowing up. People very concerned about these thunderstorms that we're dealing with. Zachary Foster says, David, despite many studies showing reinfection from COVID is not likely, Fauci said this recently as well as Gupta, why are people questioning it? I am not sure about reinfection. There is now more being said about supposed reinfection, and I think it's a very important question which we need to look at. And I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know the answer on that right now, quite frankly. Thank you to Shisa Lion Dog, Purple Toad TV, Stoned Noel, Sweet Tooth, Meticulous 7, and He Went to Jared, all of whom have subscribed or supported over on Twitch. Zip J says, thanks, David. I am also a member. Do you think we will be getting another stimulus check? I really don't know. If you force my hand and I have to bet on it, I say we do get a stimulus check, but I'm not really sure. The Blue Noble says, you don't need to be afraid of Trump losing. You need to worry about the 3 months he will be in power if he more than likely loses. Yeah, the 2.5 month transition period is going to be scary. That's for sure. Clayton Sackett says, if you didn't do this for a living, what other career path would you pursue? Non-political. It's a good question. Honestly, I'd probably be working in finance. That's where I was sort of headed, in fact, in college, until I did a couple internships and was like, what the hell am I doing? But there's a good chance that had I not started the show while in college, I might have just sort of unhappily, mildly happily continued down that path. Glad I didn't. And you know what? In the end, I ended up doing a lot of the finance stuff anyway. I mean, we raised venture capital for the show 5 years ago. I went through that entire process. We expanded, we did all that stuff. I then took the company back private. By that, I mean, I regained 100% ownership of the show. And I mean, I've gotten to do a lot of those things. So I think that it's all worked out for the best, for sure. Daniel Bonilla, or Bonicia, as we say in Argentina, says, another Spanish super chat, Gaucho, saludos. Pause versus mute, understood. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks to CBD123 and Wiz for the Twitch subscriptions. Let me thank a bunch of people. I'm going to run through these because we have a lot of very powerful subscriptions coming in. Let's see here. We've got, hold on a second, Ray Satchel, Olivia Finch, Gero Jensen, Sonia Polster, Jans Getsky, Brett Meraldo, hold on here, Rick Perry, oh boy, that can't be the former Texas governor, Jeffrey Felt, Donna Kondo, William Needham, Danielle Jones-Caridian, Jessica Russell, and Yoram Neitzel. That is 13. Wow. That puts us at 18 new members. Incredible. Incredible. At joinpacman.com. We are 15 minutes late for today's coronavirus press briefing. Just as a reminder, we are experiencing major summer thunderstorms here in the Boston area, and it's conceivable that I will lose power and or internet during this stream. Where were we over here? John Kurakawa says, do you think Trump was a beneficiary of Ghislaine Maxwell's alleged sexual trafficking? And if so, will he pardon her? Thanks for everything. So 2 clips on that on tomorrow's show. I don't want to preempt myself. It was weird when a reporter at the Tuesday briefing called her Ghislaine. I found that interesting. Jay Kidd says, David, thanks for being my go-to guy while working out. Yeah, a lot of people have told me that as they are going now, not necessarily back to the gym, but now that it's, nice weather everywhere, a lot of working out outside with different elements of fitness. The replacement of the podcast, the audio podcast for commuting has happened with gym, exercise, I think we would call it. And a lot of people, you don't have to be, I mention this only because a lot of people don't realize it. If you prefer like a long form show instead of the clips we put on YouTube, the audio podcast is available for free. It's not commercial free, but it's available for free, on Spotify. Where else is it? Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. You can have it, take it with you. And a lot of people seem to be working out to the show. Some people using it actually as a sleep medicine, which is a little bit different. Where were we? Let's continue. Sunil Matwani says, do you think Trump's new conciliatory tone changes the poll numbers leading to November? I don't. I think it's too little too late, but we'll track it. We'll see. Apex says, who would win in a fight, Cenk Uygur versus Alex Jones? Well, Alex Jones would play dirty, is my view. And he's all hopped up on like that silver solution and stuff like that. He might throw silver solution in Cenk's face, but I don't know. I mean, that's actually tough. Height wise, I don't think either is particularly tall. Weight wise, there's a question mark there. I'm not really sure. Mantis JK says, finish what you were going to say regarding your hair. Okay, so listen, here's the truth about using American Crew Fiber for your hair, which is a product I've never received money from and has been my go-to product for a very, very long time. What you basically want to do is you get out of the shower, okay? You do a little bit of drying. You don't want your hair dripping wet. You then put the product in and comb the hair the way you want it, and then you don't touch it, okay? It's like set it and forget it. You've got to do it, you walk away. For my thick Semitic hair, I need to wait about 90 to 120 minutes, let it all kind of settle. And then after 90 to 120 minutes, you run your hands through it because it'll have a wet look until you run your hands through it. And then that's like the final thing, okay? Clip it, ship it. That's the clip. That's the highlight. You'll see it on all of our platforms next week. Shannon Bennis says, listen, if you don't have the thick Semitic hair that I have, you probably just only wait 45 minutes. That's the reality, but I'm in a different situation. Shannon Bennis says, speculate, how does Trump band people to his will? Is he that charismatic? I think, whoa, what's happening with that flag there? Oh, somebody moved it. How does Trump band people to his will? I actually don't know. I mean, sometimes when you just are believed to be a multi-billionaire, people just kind of do what you say and don't really question it. And I think that's a big part of it. I don't think Trump is particularly charismatic. Few other people to thank. Let me say thank you to, where are we? Violetta Caro, Jan Schneider or Jan Schneider. We have so many European viewers where it's like it looks like Jan, the American woman's name, but it's actually not. It's a European man's name. So I'm just going to Jan Schneider, and Marsha Lance, who are new members number 19, 20, and 21 at joinpacman.com. Looks like we have some technology being dealt with here, and that's interesting nonetheless. Kevin Thomason says, hi, it's sad to see Trump and Republicans kind of not doing anything about COVID. In Sweden, we have it bad, but it feels like, where'd that go? I apologize. It scrolled up. In Sweden, we have it bad, but it feels like we at least try to do something. Okay, yeah, I mean, Sweden's having a fair share of problems, but yeah, Donald Trump has bungled this so much. It's just absolutely insane. The Main Scoop podcast says, thank you for the continued laughs and solid coverage of the briefings. Do you think anyone will follow up on Maxwell or cognitive test? I believe we will see questions about at least one of those topics today. Chris Stultz says, If you had no choice and you were forced to defend yourself, how many 12-year-olds could you successfully fend off in a physical altercation? Depends how big they are. I've seen some 12-year-olds that are gigantic. So it really depends. I mean, it depends on their size. Probably 100. Breaker 19 says, could you name the governor in every state and senators? Of course not. No, but not at all. I'm more concerned with the churning of big ideas than memorization. The Blue Noble says, imagine Trump rejects the election and has to be dragged out by his ankles, pounding his fists like a toddler, then thrown into the reflecting pool. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it'll happen. The Dark Half says, thank you, David. Smash the like button. Yeah, please, if you are watching on YouTube, I need you to absolutely destroy that like button. There should be nothing left of it when you're done with it. And of course, if you are watching over on Twitch, make sure to hit that follow button and be notified of future streams. We are only 398 followers on Twitch from the nice round number of 40,000. And by the way, over on YouTube, we had an incredible day yesterday. We are very close to 900,000 subscribers on Twitch, which on YouTube, sorry, which is incredible. Blackened Sprite says, I'm in my garage listening while working out, 10:16 p.m. UK time, or 22:16 as it is known there. Love it. Andrew Smith, proud to be a member and support David Pakman, independent journalism at its best. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. Sean McCracken says, grateful for your political coverage. I used to live in Buenos Aires. Wonderful place. Please unmute my Twitter. Running joke, I ask you daily. Very good. All right. We will look into muting. Diane Marzani says, what are your thoughts on Pfizer stock? It's $40 right now because you've done so well with Tesla. I don't know anything about stocks. I don't know anything about Pfizer stock. So I have no opinion whatsoever. Simply none. S. Dixon says, thanks for your work. You sort the day's politics so I can continue the things I love. Hard to stay positive with Trump eroding on our lives daily. Cooj B has subscribed at the beta level. Sean McCracken says, I forgot to ask you to say hi to my mom, Kathy. She lives in the Ozarks and literally door knocks for Biden and did for Obama. Thanks, David. Very, very good to hear. Kathy, thank you. Please tell Sean to stop talking to me about muting on Twitter, but you're doing a great job. A PR says, if it came to it, do you think the military would step in, end the nightmare, and hand back control? Yeah, listen, if Trump loses in November, January 21st, he's no longer president. It's that simple for me. And, these could be famous last words. I might regret being so confident, but I believe if Trump loses, he will leave. That's going to be it. T. Stan has subscribed with Twitch Prime and says, thanks for all the great coverage. Saul Bevan has subscribed with Twitch Prime as well. Semi-truck driver, you look like a young Howard Stern, Baba Booey. All right. Leopard says, you are so buff, you should be called David Peckman. I like that. That's not bad. Dominic Greer sent some kind of an emoji. Matt Chavez says, I was told to listen to Q today and literally died. I don't even know what that means. Like, what is Q? Who is Q? I really don't even get it. Thanks to Paul Grignon for subscribing on my website, Gwen Ford, Robert Payton, Faith and Aaron Hathaway, and William Janke. They are new members 22 through 26 today at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciate that support. George says, hey, David, are you a mate drinker? If so, any brand recommendations? No, I mean, people assume I drink mate because I'm Argentinian. I've never developed a taste for it. I've not. I'm more about espresso-based drinks and tea, but I've never been a big mate guy. Eric Baker says, I previously gave up on these briefings, but I'm kind of looking forward to this shit show. Yeah, it's going to be wild today, I predict. Adrian Benningfield says Trump's influence on people is probably due to TV. TV is a big part of it, for sure. And decreased attention spans. That Chulo says, so what's your take on Kanye West's comments on Harriet Tubman? Listen, Kanye West has said that he's bipolar. I think he clearly is someone struggling with extremely severe mental illness, and I just don't think there's anything there. He's not really running for president, and he's very, very ill. and I certainly don't want to make fun of him. And it's he seems to be in crisis. I don't really know that there's much more to say. D Money says pineapple on pizza, yay or nay. So when I was younger and I still ate pork, one of my favorite pizzas was a pineapple and Canadian bacon. And since I have stopped eating pork, although I accidentally ate pork in Martha's Vineyard 3 weeks ago, that story is on today's bonus show as well. We actually had a lot of vegan drama today on the bonus show. Yeah, I'm no longer in favor of pineapple on pizza. Okay, here is Donald Trump. Let's switch over to our preferred feed, which is the White House feed. We'll be about 10, 15 seconds behind, but we're all much better off with this feed for a number of different reasons. And we are going to listen to what is to be said today, listen to questions, hopefully some of them very, very nasty. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, God.
Thank you. We've had a tremendous week uniting the country in our fight against.
Worst week in cases ever.
I've reminded people of the importance of masks when you can't socially distance in particular. A strong message has been sent out to young people to stop going to crowded bars and other crowded places. Yesterday, we made the amazing announcement for our plans to protect nursing home residents. We're working very hard on that. We're doing very well all over the country. And also about contracting with Pfizer. We made a big, beautiful contract with Pfizer. We think they're very close, but we have a lot of companies that are very close to produce a vaccine. And I wanted to come out again today to share some additional news with you. This afternoon, my political team came to me and laid out our plans for the convention in Jacksonville, Florida.
Uh-oh.
It's a place I love. I love that state. The drawings look absolutely beautiful. I never thought we could have something look so good so fast with everything going on. And everything was going well. A tremendous list of speakers, thousands of people wanting to be there, and I mean, in some cases, desperately be there.
Desperate.
They wanted to attend, people making travel arrangements.
People literally dying to be at this Corona convention.
The excitement were really top of the line. But I looked at my team and I said, the timing for this event is not right. It's just not right with what's happened recently, the flare-up in Florida.
This is interesting.
To have a big convention, it's not the right time.
Responsible Trump.
It's really something that, for me, I have to protect the American people. That's what I've always done. That's what I always will do. That's what I'm about. They said, sir, we can make this work very easily.
Sir, routine.
We have great enthusiasm, incredible enthusiasm.
Sir.
Even the polls say about the most enthusiasm they've seen. We can do this safely and we can do it responsibly. And I said, there's nothing more important in our country than keeping our people safe. Whether that's from the China virus or the radical left mob.
Can you imagine?
That you see in Portland, where I want to thank Homeland Security and others and law enforcement.
So who thinks this will work, this contrite Trump?
They went in, and people were out of control for 51 days, a long time. And Homeland Security and other law enforcement with us went in, and they've done a great job in protecting our property, federal courthouse and other property, and most importantly, protecting our people. Or the senseless violence that you see in Chicago or New York or Detroit, a lot of other cities where so many people are shot and so many people are killed. And people elected me to help and to protect. So I told my team it's time to cancel the Jacksonville, Florida component of the GOP convention. Will be starting in North Carolina for the Monday, as has always been planned. We were never taking that off. That's remaining as it is. The delegates are going to get together. That's where they do their nomination. So the delegates are going to North Carolina, and they'll be doing the nomination. And we're going to do some other things with tele-rallies and online the week that we're discussing, which will be really good. I think we're going to do it well. And I'll still do a convention speech in a different form, but we won't do a big crowded convention per se. It's just not the right time for that. I care deeply about the people of Florida and everywhere else, frankly, in this country and even in the world.
Yeah, this latest
Would be coming
chat
into the
is
state,
spot on.
and I don't want to do anything to upset it.
And even in the world.
They'll be doing very well
Hold
very
on.
shortly. We're going to put some maps up of the country behind me, and you'll see that
What on earth?
the area that we're talking about is a hot spot. You'll also see a lot of the country has no problem whatsoever, most of the country, actually. So I'm always going to take care of you so that that's the way we're going to do it. I've spoken to Governor DeSantis and informed other political leaders. I want to thank the Jacksonville community and its great mayor. He's a great guy, really great guy. They wanted it so badly. And all of the other political representatives in Jacksonville and in Florida, and just very special people, a very special group, and they were there for us 100%.
But we'll be going to North Carolina.
Today, I want to provide an update on the actions we're taking to support the safe reopening of America's schools.
Oh, no.
Parents around the world who have had their children home for the last few months have a greater appreciation for the fact that teachers are essential workers, that they're essential to our children's future. Our goal is to protect our teachers and students from the China virus, while ensuring that families with high-risk factors can continue to participate from home. Very important. The American Academy of Pediatrics has released guidance recommending that schools reopen. It said, quote, lengthy time away from school and associated interruption of supportive services often results in a social isolation, making it difficult for schools to identify and address important learning deficits, as well as child and adolescent physical and sexual abuse, substance abuse, depression, and suicidal ideation. This, in turn, places children and adolescents at considerable risk of morbidity and, of some cases, mortality. Beyond the educational impact and social impact of school closures, there's been a substantial impact on food security and physical activity for children and for families. So that's very important. And there's a highway, it goes both ways. The National Education Association recently stated, despite the momentous efforts of educators during the pandemic, online learning has never been an effective replacement for in-person learning and support. Being at the school, being on the campus is very, very important. One study estimates that due to school closures last spring, the average student will begin this school year roughly 35% behind in reading compared to the typical year, and more than 50% behind in math. That's a big statement.
How far is Trump
According
behind on
to
reading?
McKinsey and Company, learning loss will probably be greatest among low-income Black and Hispanic students. They're the ones that are hit the hardest. We don't want that happening. 30 million American students rely on schools for free and reduced meals. Over 70% of the students who receive mental health services do so through their schools. According to HHS, 1 in 5 reports allegedly having to do with child abuse. They have neglect, and these are neglect and neglected cases are submitted by education personnel. So people in the education world on the premises will be the ones that report neglect and other problems when they see the children. They know if they've been neglected, they know if they've been hurt or harmed in any way, whether it's at home or someplace else, but they see this at school. You don't get to see that if you're not going to school. It's a big thing. Fortunately, the data shows the children are lower risk from the China virus very substantially. When children do contact the virus, they often have only very mild symptoms or none at all. And medical complications are exceedingly rare. Those that do face complications often have underlying medical conditions. 99% of all China virus hospitalizations are adults, and 99.96% of all fatalities are adults. That means that children are a tiny percentage, less than 1%, and
that what
even a
that means?
small percentage of 1%. In a typical year, the flu results in more deaths of those under 18 in the United States than have been lost thus far to the coronavirus.
Having some trouble
many
here,
different names, many different names. The life of every child is sacred and must be protected. Our sole focus is the health and well-being of America's children. I have a very special person who loves children, who's I think one of the greatest athletes of all time. A lot of people say the greatest pitcher of all time, known as a relief pitcher, could have been whatever he wanted. Some people, he is the greatest reliever of all time by far, substantially more saves than anybody else. In fact, he got the Presidential Medal of Freedom recently. And I'm reading off these stats. I knew he was the best. I knew he was great, but I didn't know it was almost double anybody else. But he's a man who loves children, has children, loves children.
Is he talking about Mariano Rivera?
Works hard with children. We're going to go outside and be with some little leaguers. Mariano Rivera, you know, he's the Sandman, right? My wife said, darling, why do they call him the Sandman? I said, you know, they play the song. He just puts the batters to sleep. And
this is a lie because Melania doesn't call him darling.
Having Mariano here is a great honor. Thank you very much. Was
Why is
talking
he
about
there?
children in schools.
This is crazy.
And there's nobody that's done more than you have. Thank you very much, Mariano. Fantastic man. Given these
What the
considerations, we
hell?
believe many school districts can now reopen safely, provided they implement mitigation measures and health protocols to protect families, protect teachers, and to protect students. And we do have to protect the teachers and the families also. We have to remember that all families should be empowered to make the decision that is right for their own circumstance. This is especially important if a child has underlying health conditions or lives with a parent or grandparent who's at higher risk. In cities or states that are current hotspots, and you'll see that in the map behind me, districts may need to delay reopening for a few weeks, and that's possible.
Weeks.
That'll be up to governors.
Weeks.
The decision should be made based on the data and the facts on the grounds in each community, but every district should be actively making preparations to open. Again, the children obviously have a very strong immune system, maybe even as strong as yours. They seem to be able to fight it off and not have a problem. So it's pretty amazing, actually. Great credit. Our strategy to safely reopen schools mirrors our approach nationwide. As we race toward the completion of a vaccine and therapeutics, the responsible path is to shelter those at highest risk while allowing those at lower risk, much lower in the case of young children, to resume work at school, and as long as everyone practices vigilant hygiene and social distancing. We want that. A permanent shutdown was never the strategy, which would ultimately lead to greater mortality and irreversible harms. We don't want to do that. At the same time, we have to get our economy going. We had tremendous numbers issued yesterday. Housing prices, pricing of housing up 21%, is the highest in history.
I still don't understand how
the
that's
highest
possible.
number in history.
And it doesn't sound good
Real
right
estate
now.
housing went up 21%. Today, the CDC will provide additional guidance for how schools can reopen safely. I hope that local leaders put the full health and well-being of their students first and make the right decision for children, parents, teachers, and not make political decisions. This isn't about politics. It's about
Oh my God, I just looked it up. Existing home sales were up 21%, obviously from a number that was incredibly reduced. Prices weren't up 21%. That would be insane.
Congress to provide $105 billion to schools as part of the next coronavirus relief bill. This funding will support mitigation measures such as smaller class sizes, more teachers and teacher aides, repurposing spaces to practice social distancing, and crucially, mask wearing. This money is in addition to the $30 billion we secured for schools and universities earlier this year. That money we have, some is distributed and some is not distributed. If schools do not reopen, the funding should go to parents to send their child to public, private, charter, religious, or homeschool of their choice. The key word
What?
being choice.
This is going to be a
If
problem.
the school is closed, the money should follow the student. So the parents and families are in control of their own decisions. So we'd like the money to go to the parents of the student. This way they can make the decision that's best for them.
Understand that the logistics of cutting a check to parents for what would normally go from the state or city to a public school is a logistical boondoggle. And it's, I mean, you know, maybe will they get that check in 2023?
And provide for their families. The Council of Economic Advisors estimates that 5.6 million parents will be unable to return to work if schools do not reopen this year.
That's really the issue
It's a
there.
tremendous problem. It's a tremendous problem. Schools have to open safely, but they have to open. More than a dozen European countries, as well as South Korea, Taiwan, and many others, have already reopened schools.
Right. Well, they dealt with the virus intelligently and have almost no cases. We have 70,000 a day.
Unite together, follow the best medical practices, and apply common sense. We'll continue to support states and cities in the current hotspots in the South, Southwest, and West. The governors, I know them all. They're all very, very capable. They're doing a very good job. They're working so hard. You wouldn't even believe it. We have nearly 30,000 federal personnel deployed in the states that need assistance. We're helping with doctors and nurses, medical personnel of all kinds.
Gowns.
As a PPE update, we're in close communication with governors and states. We have supplies, everything they could possibly need. We're very
sending all of
strong
them
on
ball
supplies.
gowns.
Remember, I used to say the cupboards were bare. Well, now the cupboards are the opposite. Due to our historic efforts to increase both the national stockpile and the state stockpiles, the vast majority of the states have 60 days worth of supplies on hand. And most importantly, they have ventilators, because the ventilators are very, very hard to come by, at least in the past. Now we're making thousands of ventilators a month and supplying them in many cases to other countries. For states that are making requests, we're rapidly delivering. In the last 24 hours, FEMA has deployed more than 1.5 million masks upon request, 1.7 million gowns,
Love the gown.
and 600,000. Well, let me change that. We've created about 600,000 different supplies. We have 600 ventilators to Arizona, North Carolina, Pennsylvania,
What?
Colorado, Idaho, and Washington. I think the number is 600. We're going to check that, and we'll give it to you in a little while. But we've got a stockpile of thousands of ventilators. I think we've sent out about 600 just recently. The United States has now conducted more than 51 million tests, which is more than any other country in the world by far. Roughly half of the tests are either the rapid point of care tests, which frankly solves a lot of problem and delay, 5
his
to
favorite
15
test.
minutes instead of
He
waiting
aced it too.
for service both ways in both directions and then at the lab. But roughly half of them now, which is a tremendous increase, are 5 to 15 minute tests, or tests done in a hospital where you get the results back in less than a day, in some cases immediately. We're continuing to surge testing to current hotspots such as Miami and Phoenix to detect those with the virus and take steps to stop from spreading it further. This is a copy of the map, and this is, you have it right behind me. That's
a map.
really very much indicating where the problems
It's the United
are.
States,
You see
for sure.
From that, it's in great shape, lots of it. The Northeast has become very clean. The country is
A lot of Democrats up in that
in very good
Northeast,
shape,
huh?
other
Weird.
than if you look south and west, some problems. That'll all work out. On therapies, we've worked with Florida to ensure that over 40,000 vials of remdesivir are arriving this week. It's a lot. That's a lot. They're working round the clock to make it. It's had a tremendous impact. We've also shipped thousands of vials to Arizona, California, and Texas over the past 2 weeks.
Vials.
Arizona's doing very well. It's heading down. The numbers are heading down, I think, very quickly. Governor's done a great job. They've all done a great job.
No,
They've all
that's
done a
not
great
true.
job, working hard. We'll continue to monitor the areas rising and with respect to cases, and we ask all Americans to exercise vigilance.
Imagine insisting Florida's doing anything right.
Do whatever is necessary so we get rid of this horrible situation, this horrible disease that was sent to us by China. It should not have been sent. They should have stopped it. They could have stopped it. They didn't. And the entire world has gotten infected. And a lot of countries are going through a lot right now. This morning I spoke with President Putin of Russia.
We know.
And they're going through a very hard time with this, in Moscow in particular. I spoke to the Crown Prince, Saudi Arabia. They're doing well, but they're going through a lot. Everybody's going through a lot. Yesterday I spoke to the heads of 4 different countries. All 4 are going through a lot, going through a hard time. This could have been stopped. It could have been stopped quickly and easily, but for some reason it wasn't. And we'll figure out what that reason was. So with that, if you have any questions, please.
Here we go.
On the convention, were you simply not convinced that you could keep people safe at the convention?
I just felt it was wrong, Steve, to have people going to what turned out to be a hot spot. You know, when we chose it, it was not at all hot. It was free.
Cold.
And all of a sudden it happened quickly. It happens quickly, and it goes away, and it goes away quickly. The key is we wanted to go away without a lot of death, without a lot of problems, and we're learning so much about the disease. That's why we're very cognizant of nursing homes. We're watching them very carefully, and people over a certain age, and especially people over a certain age with diabetes or heart disease in particular, but with a problem. So we didn't want to take any chances. So we had a lot of people. We have the delegates want to be there. We're going to do a fairly reasonably quick meeting in North Carolina. The nomination will be produced, and then we'll announce what we're doing, how we're doing it, whether it's something that's done online, I guess you could call it online.
Whoa.
So there can be nothing like our last convention. Unfortunately, that was a great convention and in a great place, as you know. We had a great time.
Keeps
Great
going
time
black.
in Cleveland, but it's a different world, and it will be for a little while. We want to get the world back to what it was, and I think we'll have
Very
that,
weird.
including great job numbers, including so many things that are happening so positive. I have to say the stock market is close to records for NASDAQ. It is a record.
NASDAQ.
It's already exceeded its highest numbers, but we want to get our country back to what it was.
So would your acceptance speech be from the White House, or are you worried?
We haven't said that yet, Steve. We'll have that. We'll probably announce that over the next few
Are
days.
you worried this might dampen enthusiasm for you?
Look, we've done a great job. We built the greatest economy in the world.
How weird is
Nobody
this?
close. Not China, not anybody.
China.
We had to close it. We saved millions of lives, and we opened it. But we had the best numbers in history
Whoa,
for
that was weird. That was like a different...
African
Where are we
Americans,
now?
Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, every group you want to name.
What is that a shot
Young
of?
people without a diploma, young people with a high school diploma, with a college diploma, anything you want to name. We had the best numbers. Women doing incredibly. Never been a time like that. And we had to turn it off because of what China did. We had to turn it off, and then all of a sudden,
How strange is
now we
this?
turn it back on, and we're doing very well. But it was very bad. China, speaking about China, the trade deal means
Now we've got video, but we've lost audio.
record corn day. They purchased more corn
Corn.
than any order ever. And that went on for 2 or 3 days, and
Trump bathes in
soybeans
corn.
and all. But it just means much less to me. Can you understand that? Just means much less to me. Please go ahead.
What was the one thing, if there was one thing that changed your mind about the convention? And did Florida officials ask you to cancel it?
No, they didn't. We're dealing with them, but they didn't. I would just say safety. Just safety. I just, I could see the media saying, oh, this is very unsafe. I don't want to be in that position. It's safety, not because of the media, but that's what they would say. And we'll have a very nice something. We'll figure it out. It'll be online in some form. Maybe it'll be something even a little bit different. We have time. We're talking about the end of August. But I think it'll be something that will be exciting. But there can be nothing like having 25,000 people. We had a tremendous thing planned in tremendous convention planned in North Carolina.
Right.
And it would have been very good, but a much smaller version in Florida. But then we saw what was happening pretty quickly. We saw that the virus was coming up that coast. So.
Do you think it's an acknowledgement of the severity of the situation in Florida?
No, I think it's going to come and go. It will. I mean, you take a look at some of these locations, we're heavily infected. I mean, to a point where Deborah and I were talking that, you know, when you look at what happened in New York and what happened in New Jersey and other places, and now you're looking and it's...
So, of course, you know, this is not Trump prioritizing safety. It was becoming very clear that it was completely irresponsible to do this, and it was going to be politically not viable. Many prominent Republicans said, we're not going to go, Chuck Grassley and others. So he really had no choice.
Say we're going to have a lot of people packed in a room, and then other people shouldn't do it. Don't forget, we're talking about schools, and we want them to be vigilant, and we're saying open, and then we're saying, here you have a big room. But I also, if you notice, I said where bars are crowded, where other things are crowded. Well, there's nothing more crowded than a convention. A convention, I mean, you've seen them. And even though you try and keep people away from each other, it's just not that kind of a thing. They probably can't do that. It just doesn't work for them. So it's
Right.
very hard. So I think we're setting an example by doing it. It's very important. Yeah, John.
Mr. President, if I could come back to school openings. You talked about money that Congress is looking at to help schools who want to reopen. If a school wants to reopen but is concerned about testing, would you consider directing some of that money toward testing for either a school district or even individual schools, if that's what it took to open the schools?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of people feel differently about testing. We talk about it a lot. When we have 50 million tests plus, and you know we broke the 50 million test mark. Second in the world is India, which has 1.4 billion people, and they had 12 million tests. And other countries that are very big had 2 million tests. And some countries essentially only test if you're sick and walk into a hospital or walk into a doctor's office, or
Right.
you're literally really sick. They essentially don't do tests unless you're sick. And I understand that too. So yeah, if they feel that that's what they want, that would be fine.
You would tell Congress, you would encourage Congress to pay for testing for school
I
districts?
would if they want. Again, we've done 50 million tests. There's nobody even close in the whole world. You look at our mortality rate, you look at our death rate, you look at different statistics, we're doing very well.
So death rate is
But
10th
one
highest.
death is too many. This should never have happened. This should never have been allowed to happen from China.
Also, Mitch McConnell's office just put out a statement a moment ago about the Phase 4 relief package, CARES 2, saying, quote, it's tailored precisely for this phase of the crisis. Yet it does not include your payroll tax cut. So do you believe it's perfectly
Yeah, I'd like to
tailored?
see a payroll tax cut. I think it's great for the workers. The Democrats would never have gone for it. They don't want it. They're not big into the workers, I guess. And based on that, I told them last night, I told the Republicans who have been working very hard on this, I'll tell you, and they want what's right for the country.
Yeah.
And hopefully the Democrats ultimately will. But I said, I think a payroll tax would be good, but you're not going to get it from the Democrats. We need their votes, as you know. It's not like, you know, we have a majority, but it's not enough.
If you're interested in the payroll tax cut, I have an entire video as to why it's not good. You can check it out on my YouTube channel.
So we're not going to get the Democrat votes on that. So I'd like to see it. I think it would be very good for the workers. But if we're not going to get their votes, I guess we have to go on to the next thing. A payroll tax cut would have been very good. And maybe something happens. Yes, please.
You talk about setting an example on Jacksonville, but I just wonder, some people are going to take away from this the lesson that you're pushing too far, too fast. It seemed for a while the numbers were going up in Jacksonville and you were going to have a problem there. This comes up at a time you're pushing for schools to reopen. We have the opening of the Major League Baseball season. Isn't the example of Jacksonville that we're pushing too fast?
Well, baseball, as an example, we were discussing it a little while ago. You're going to be at an empty stadium. I've agreed. Randy Levine's a great friend of mine from the Yankees. He asked me to throw out the first pitch, and I think I'm doing that on August 15th at Yankee Stadium. And I say, how's the crowd going to be? And, you know, it's like you don't have a crowd. There is no such thing. It's going to be interesting, Mariano. He's not used to that. I've been at many games. He walks in, the place goes crazy. I think it'd be just as good without the crowd. You were just born with it, you know. Some people are born with it.
Right. It's talent.
I don't know if
Natural.
this is only for the baseball players, but I've never seen a pitcher throw a ball where so many bats were broken as Mariano. He's got the all-time record. I said, how do you do that? He said, parents. Great parents, when you get right down to it, right? How do you do
What?
that? It's called parents. I just to finish, I think that we have to all set examples. I think Major League Baseball is setting an example by, playing to empty stadiums, and so are other sports. You see that. Now, then they'll allow a certain number in. I see golf is now soon will be allowing people to come in percentages, and all of a sudden we want to get back to normal. The key is to get back to normal because nobody wants to see this. But I think it's really good that baseball's opening. It looks like football's opening. It looks like sports are opening. We have, it's a tremendous thing psychologically for our country, and we're all with it. We're going to see right now some beautiful young little leaguers outside with a great future ahead of them. They're already practicing on the front lawn of the White House, and we're going to go out and say hello to them, and it'll be really great. Okay, how about one more? Yeah, please, go ahead.
President Trump, the Washington Post earlier today reported that one thing holding up the GOP coronavirus bill is the White House asking that it include language regarding the FBI building in downtown Washington, D.C. Is that true?
I don't know that they're putting it in this bill, but I know they want to have a new FBI building.
Isn't
this
that
one is very
something about a
old,
building
and,
Trump wanted to rent the FBI?
It was never built to a very high standard, as you probably have heard, and it's got a lot of danger involved, and panels falling off the outside and pieces of concrete falling off the building. And they want to build it at the site that they have it. They had options very far away from Washington. And I said to them, frankly, you have to be near the Justice Department. There's nothing better than the site. The site they have now is better. But they were looking at sites in Maryland and Virginia and different places, but they would have been too far away. So I have been encouraging them to build it. And if you have a choice. You can renovate the existing building, but it's not a good building. Or you could take it down and build a great building for the FBI for 100 years and have it be incredible, even with tracks on top. They're talking about, we have, because FBI people like to work out a lot, and you could have literally quarter-mile tracks on top. It's a very big site, very wide site. Wide. So I think the best idea would be to build a new building, and that way you have it for a long time. Renovation can never be as good as a new building in that case. I know they're talking about it, whether or not they put it in this bill or someplace else, but the FBI needs a new building, and we'll get it done. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very, very much, and extremely, extremely powerfully. As we get close to the end of the reporting day here, we just found 9,000 more cases while Donald Trump was speaking and about 200 more deaths. We are now at 62,000 new cases today. Over 1,000 new deaths, sadly, tragically, for the third day in a row. Let me see. How is Massachusetts doing today? Oh, Massachusetts still hasn't reported. We're being slow today. Oh, still some states out. So not a particularly good day, again, unfortunately, my friends. Okay, I am getting ready to shut things down for the day. If you are with me on Twitch, we are going to do something wild. We're going to raid a chess streamer who doesn't even know me, Ben Feingold. He only has 500 people watching right now. We have almost 2,000 over on Twitch. So I think that if you join me in doing that, it's going to be extremely, extremely shocking and powerful for Ben Feingold. So join me there. And if you are watching on any other platform, that was a weird sound. Something's happening here. We are going to be wrapping up the stream, but I will be back with more streams and much more very, very soon.